Hi, folks. My name is Ara Boyadjian, and I'm the co-founder and COO at PMG 360, a leading provider of business marketing and lead generation services in the U.S. As we all know, AI is everywhere. Every business leader knows they need it, but most don't know actually what to do with it. Companies pour money into AI tools only to see minimal impact. So where's the gap? How do you go from we have AI to AI is driving real revenue? Well, today we're cutting through all the noise with someone who's been on both sides, big tech and startups. He's built AI systems that have driven multi-million-dollar results at Meta. He's also co-founded an AI-powered SaaS startup, and now he helps businesses leverage AI for real, measurable growth. Joining us today is Wei Zhou, an AI strategist, entrepreneur, and consultant who's helping companies go beyond the AI hype and actually make it work. If you're in B2B, tech, or any industry where data automation can change the game, this is the episode for you. Wei, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Ara. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, I'm excited to join. Looking forward to the discussions.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump right in. As we know, AI adoption is skyrocketing, but most businesses are still struggling to get results. What's the biggest mistake companies make when they're trying to implement AI?
There's a lot of noise out there. Like you said, there's a lot of noise out there, so it's hard to tease the signal from the noise. A lot of noise out there that are mostly prototypes with good marketing, good advertisement. AI itself, generative AI itself is relatively new, right? It started 2022 when ChatGPT came online.
Yeah, the adoption, sure, 2022.
And then, right, generate AI. And then the research has been blazing fast, but translating that into practical uses and applications in the market has been much slower. Creating robust, the production ready tools is really, really difficult, right? So there's a lot of stuff out there that works in prototype and proof of concepts, but isn't ready for enterprise adoption.
Yeah, not in the real world, right? That's when they put it into production and into the real world activities, that's when all the flaws kind of rise to the top, and it's like, oh, we better go back to the drawing board.
Right. So I think it's important to have someone that understands tech to kind of survey and help you understand help understand your company first, right? Like, what are some main issues you have? What are some main criteria? What are some success metrics? What are some risks?
Right.
What are some needs that you might have? How do you define success? And like what type of load that you're getting, and the amount of scale that you're hoping implement this AI in, and then using that to do the research to see what softwares and products are out there that's mature enough to fit all these categories, right? And then on top of that, I think what people usually neglect is the human psychological aspect of it. So if there's a lot of hesitation and inertia from implementing AI products or learning AI products within the corporation, then no matter what tool you use, it's going to be hard to adopt and be successful, right?
Yeah, I guess adoption, training the existing team on the new tools and the new way of doing things could be quite challenging for any business leader out there. I could see that. Yeah. So you've worked with both startups and Fortune 500s, right? What separates companies that successfully integrate AI from those that waste time and money trying to figure out what AI solutions would work for them?
Yeah, so like I said, a thorough understanding of what the company needs are and the challenges are that they're actually trying to solve with AI, and then a really good understanding of what the product is, what are all the products in the marketplace and which ones check all the right boxes, right? And then you need a good amount of onboarding efforts to make sure that the system is tailored and customized towards your needs, the company's needs. So I think the biggest issue is blindly, well, you need someone that like a technical broker almost, or like a CTO, or someone that understands technology really well, not just like a developer or software engineer, but someone's actually implemented and worked on AI technology on a large scale, enterprise scale, right? To help you understand what your needs are.
Right. I mean, sometimes I would imagine they don't even know what their needs are specifically and how AI, the right AI that's implemented correctly, can help them achieve those goals. I would imagine that's something you come across relatively often.
Right. And there's a lot of places where things can go wrong. So just to understand what are some places things go wrong and what are some non-negotiable places that things cannot go wrong, and putting tests and barriers in place to make sure these issues don't arise. And if they do arise, then the issues doesn't have a major impact. So there's a lot of cautionary steps that needs to put in place, and a lot of planning that needs to put in place, that businesses and companies that don't have a lot of technical expertise don't really know how to execute. Another point that you brought up is wasting money on stuff, right? So I believe, I mean, coming from startups, the bootstrap mentality has always been ingrained in me. Pay as little as possible and be as efficient, as financially and time efficient as possible. Build like a proof of principle or an MVP, minimum viable product, as quick as possible, and then improve from there, right? So instead of like adopting and saying yes to, a solution that costs a couple $100,000, right, and then signing on to that immediately, maybe build something that is very scrappy, just to prove the concept that it works, and to identify how else to improve it from there. Going that route could save you a ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, you have to conserve resources, especially if you're a startup where funds are typically tight and you're trying to get off the ground and what have you. So I understand you. Well, I mean, we all know that AI is powerful, right? But it's definitely not magic. So what are some hard truths about AI that business leaders need to hear?
Yeah, basically that. That's not magic.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve all your problems.
Right.
There's still human psychological resource. There's a lot of problem that still needs to be solved, but AI is not gonna do everything. So understanding exactly what it is and what it does solve will be really useful. There's a lot of hype out there right now, like a ton of hype, right?
Yeah, we're at almost at the peak of the hype, right?
Yeah. I think it's gonna keep on peaking, to be honest.
Possibly, yeah.
But just to weave through the hype and understand what's the pros and cons of AI, what's the limitations and constraints of AI, instead of just believing in all the hype, right?
Yeah, like you have to be realistic on what solutions are out there and how they could really help, and not just the fluff and, like you said earlier, like the marketing hype that they put around these products just to kind of get them off the ground. I got it. Yeah. And on that note, I'm sure a lot of businesses buy AI tools, but they don't see the impact, right? I mean, if you had to create a simple, no nonsense AI roadmap for B2B companies, what would that look like?
Yeah, so I would divide that into three main phases. The first phase is discovery and design, prototyping, right? Building something scrappy, just to show that it works. Third phase is, if it does work out, then productionizing it. And then lastly, making sure that you're constantly testing, monitoring, and improving the system. That's very important. So the first step, right, discovery and design, I think that depending on the enterprise size and the product that you're trying to build, that might take some time, right? Couple weeks to a couple months just to understand exactly what you're trying to build. What is the current technology solutions in your company that might require some integration with the new tech coming in? What are some data that your company has, right? What's the current operational workflow? So let's say, let's have an example too. Let's say we're doing like a customer service chatbot, right? What is the current workflow of your customer service team, right? How do you integrate your technology and automation into your workflow? What gets disrupted? How do you make sure there's minimal disruption in the human workflow operations? And then what are some current metrics that you work on, you pay attention to?
Yeah.
And how might that be disrupted, right? So you have to put in place some sort of success metrics and guardrails metrics to make sure everything's okay. And just understand all the stakeholders' needs and what they're looking for, right? So just discovery and design, discovering what's going on, designing based on the discovery that you do, designing the system and designing the architecture of the software, and designing the KPIs and metrics to monitor, right?
Yeah, to
And then,
coincide with the tool. Yeah.
right. And then second phase is obviously building a prototype, right? Like I said, the bootstrap mindset, startup bootstrap mindset, using the minimum amount of effort and time to build something that works uh, uh, um, for just the core needs, right? So minimum viable product. Once you
Right.
have that built, present it, have it working on a very small scale, see what the issues are, if things align, how much disruption is actually going on with the current um, workflow, and then understanding how to improve from there, right?
Yeah.
Once you have all the directions of how to improve and where you want to get to, then we get into the production phase, right? How do you build this MVP into a production, scale it up to a production ready system that integrates into existing workflows, and you have the right testing and validation set up, right?
Right. Right.
So the fourth phase is once everything is in production, you need to monitor extremely carefully to make sure everything is going well, right? Because automation inherently means that there's a lot of there's a lot of bypassing of human monitoring, right? Especially if it's in a large scale, large volume. We have to make sure every conversation in the chat for this AI chatbot is adheres to what we want it to do, and we have to make sure that the servers don't explode. So, and you have to come up with different criterias of how the conversation might go astray. So you just have to build a really good validation and testing and
Yeah.
monitoring system for both the conversations itself and then also for like the backend stuff. So all of these four phases that requires a lot of design and understanding of the technology and also the needs of the clients, right? So it is a very sophisticated system, and having a team that understands technology, to do some sort of audit in the beginning would be really useful, to understand the system and how to design it.
Right. And then at the end, you put it into play. You actually get it out of the off the drawing board and into the schoolyard and get it working and see
Right.
how everything that you've designed. That's exactly why we launched the PMG 360 AI Business Opportunity Audit, because most companies don't actually know what could be automated, what should be automated, and what's just hype, right? So here's the deal. AI is already reshaping industries, but if you don't have a structured plan, you could be wasting valuable time and resources on the wrong solutions, right? So we actually help businesses assess their AI readiness, identify impact opportunities, and actually build a roadmap to implement AI, just like you mentioned earlier, in a way that would increase revenue. So if you're a business leader wondering where AI can help you save time, reduce costs, or unlock new revenue streams, and this audit's for you. And it's completely free. You just have to head over to pmg360.com and claim your free AI audit. And let's see where AI can drive real results for your business. It's not rocket science. We have a way to do it, and we could show you the roadmap to get there and achieve your KPIs and your numbers and build your revenue and all that. Well, as you know, PMG works with companies in B2B services, software, sales, and marketing. In your opinion, where does AI create the most immediate ROI in those industries?
Yeah, so for sales, there's been some really good tools out there for kind of AI voice
Yeah,
sales agents, right? And
that's
those can be scaled in pretty high volume. So immediately you can see an ROI, and I guess the reduction in the human sales agent force expenses related to that. But in addition to that, all of the conversations comes from a very similar and consistent structure. So if you can optimize the way you make sales, you can potentially increase your conversion rate across the board. So you can get some ROI there.
yeah. I mean, with in relation to voice, though, we're finding on our side more and more as the workforce age kind of goes to the younger side of the spectrum. Not a lot of people are answering their phones,
Mm.
so a lot of the work is actually being done electronically with email, and we're using AI tools. We're implementing AI tools to help act as force multipliers for our clients when you're talking about outbound sales and such, doing the outreach, doing the nurturing and all of that?
Voice agents for outbound is limited by the amount of engagement you can get through that channel for sure.
That's right.
But I think inbound wise, if you get a lot of high volume inbound, then that could
Great.
save a lot of human cost.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Inbound, it's fantastic. It really, at scale, I mean, it could do whatever you program it to do, especially if your general inbound call is more or less following the same structure, name, address, or whatever points you need to take down and enter into your system for further outreach later on. Yeah. With that, there's a lot of fear around AI replacing jobs these days. The poor receptionist at the front desk is wondering, when is my days are limited here? What's the reality? I mean, will AI make sales and marketing teams obsolete, or is there another way to look at it? Like, could it actually be an opportunity in disguise for some?
Yeah. Thank you. That was a good question. I do think it's an opportunity in disguise. It just means that there's a lot of upscaling that needs to happen. Whenever there's a huge shift in the technology infrastructure of the society, you do need to have a good amount of upscaling, right? So AI is not going to replace jobs; it's going to replace people who don't know how to use AI
That's a
for
good
their
way of
jobs,
looking at it.
right?
Yeah.
So people that's really hesitant or afraid to learn about AI and use that for their jobs are more likely to be replaced than people that are capable of using AI, right? It's not going to go away anytime soon, the need for human in the loop. And even if an AI gets really, really good, you still need human in the loop. Yeah, so just knowing how to upscale, knowing how to use AI, there's a lot of tools out there,
Yeah.
especially with the AI, race right now. There's a ton of free tools out there. So just play around with it, learn a little bit about it, be an early adopter, and I think your job should be safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. That's good advice for sure. I mean, you're someone who took the leap from a high level role at Meta to running your own business, right? Not an easy leap, too, by the way. So, kudos to you. What's been the biggest shift in your mindset since making that transition?
Even before the jump, it requires a shift in mindset from kind of static to dynamic mindset, but also from safety to growth mindset, right? So that's the mindset that helped me even make the shift, and also the amount of awareness, self-awareness that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But since that shift, I've realized that there are so much to learn, right, in the entrepreneurship space, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much to learn, so much to do, and so much to delegate. You can't learn everything. You can't do
That's
everything.
right.
And there's a lot of risk and uncertainty too, being an entrepreneur, right? And then how do you engage and welcome that risk and uncertainty, and even kind of like walk towards the fear?
It is a mindset.
Those are all huge mindset changes that needs to happen for you to kind of flourish in this role. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you make that decision, you sort of, the old adage is you burn the boats. I mean, we're leaving safe harbor, we're going in, and we must succeed. And I think if you, as an entrepreneur, if you go into any situation with that mindset and really deep down accept that mindset, you will succeed. You have no other option. You must move forward and you must succeed. And I think with that attitude, most do. Sooner or later, some do fail in the beginning, but even a failure could be looked at as a success as long as you gain education from the reasons why you failed and use that experience to continue to move forward. You will excel. You just have to keep swinging the bat. You will eventually make contact and you will hit a home run. You just have to keep at it. And that's at least my 2 cents from my experiences as an entrepreneur over the years. So
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, thanks. I noticed one of your recent LinkedIn posts. It challenged society's definition of success, right? How does that perspective shape the way you approach AI?
The perspective of challenging the status quo and the current definition of success. Yeah. No, that's a good question. Well, I think the biggest thing is about change and how do you react to change, right?
Mhm.
You either make the change or the change comes and makes you, right?
Yeah,
So you either are proactive in kind of making yourself more resilient, so that you can thrive when the change comes, or you are very hesitant in your old ways and aren't willing to change. So then this disruption comes, and impacts you. So I think based on that, right? AI change is coming. It's going to impact everything we do, the whole workforce and society in general. So how do you prepare for that, and how do you not get left behind? And a lot of that has to do with um, uh, how we see ourselves uh, and our own identity, right? I've thought about this quite a bit. And trying to implement AI in corporations is just this huge fear that's associated with uprooting their own identity, right? Like if I'm not a front desk worker that's capable of doing this, and if AI can replace me, then who am
what
I?
am I? Yeah,
Who am I? Right. So I want to resist this AI coming in as much as possible. Um, so that type of mentality. Uh, so just being able to kind of be open to change and understand the changes coming, and then you can change yourself in
yeah,
preparation for the upcoming uh, changes, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Just remaining malleable and dynamic, and move with the flow, right? There's no reason resisting something. That's kind
yeah. Yeah, I guess, change is difficult for some. That's obvious. It's been proven time and time again. But I think, like what you said, if you're open to change and understanding how these new tools can actually make your life better, make your job, your work easier, and more streamlined. And at the end of the day, make you more successful. If you go into it with an open attitude, I think a lot of people are going to find that, wow, this is pretty cool. And all of a sudden I have all this free time that I could spend with my friends or my family and doing things I like. And it's all because of this, the change, the AI evolution, if you will, revolution.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me ask you, if a business leader is listening right now and wants to leverage AI, but doesn't know where to start, what's the first step they should take today?
So the offer that you mentioned is pretty compelling, right? Like having some level of expertise to come in and do a quick audit to understand where are some biggest ROI
Yeah.
opportunities. Especially if it's free, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Being more, I think just having better education of what AI is and what AI isn't. There's some really good courses out there that teaches you in the simplest terms how to adopt AI in corporations, right? So just being educated and up to pace, and then just welcoming it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Wei, I mean, the session was packed with valuable insights. And I know a lot of business leaders that are listening are walking away with a clearer understanding of how AI can actually drive results and what's available to them to help drive results, right?
Yes.
If you found this conversation valuable, make sure to subscribe and share this episode with your team. And if you want to see how AI can improve your sales and marketing efforts, please check out PMG 360's AI driven lead generation solutions. We're helping businesses just like yours fill their pipelines with highly qualified, targeted, intent driven prospects to increase your revenue every day. Wei, I really enjoyed our conversation today. Thanks again for coming on, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Until next time, folks. Thank you.